Hi, I'm Mike Fine, and in this video I'm going to walk you through how to use the Machiniste device. It's a drum machine in Audio Tool. So I'm going to grab my Machiniste device, I'm going to drag it in. Let's try that one more time. Click and drag. I'm going to place it there. And so right now if I just hit play, you can see that it's cycling through my numbers, and even if I click dots in, I get nothing, right? So I'm going to clear that out. So the way you use Machiniste is you have to load in samples. Now you actually can load in samples other than drum beats. So I'm going to focus just on the drum beats for now. So I'm going to go to samples, and I'm going to start to create a drum kit. So I'm going to load up a kick drum or a bass drum. I can play it. Try out these different kicks until I find one I like. Now if I like this one, I click and I drag it and I load it into one of my slots. And so now if I program in some beats there, okay, so that's going to play those kick drum patterns there. Next I would search for, say, a snare drum, and I can try out some snares. Until you find one you like, click and drag and drop it in. And I can continue to load in samples, and I would try to add in samples that you would find in a typical drum kit, and I'll show you that in just a minute. After that, I'm going to start to program in some beats. There's an attached PDF in the Google Doc where you can see some funk drum beats and some rock drum beats. I would focus either on the funk or the rock patterns. I probably wouldn't mix the two. And you're going to see a section of breaks, and you're going to see a section of beats. So if you use the rock patterns, the first, I think 12 or 15 that say rock 1, rock 2, those are beats. If you use the funk patterns, they say funk 1, funk 2, funk 3, etc. The breaks, or the fills, are listed as breaks in both of the PDF files, so you can pick those. And I'm going to program in 4 beats, so that would be rock or funk patterns for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I would go to the break patterns in the same PDF for a 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I've already gone and created that. I'm going to open my recent file here. Let's just do open. Here's my project number 3. And so if I just pull over here, pattern A1 is a beat, A2 is a beat, A3 is a beat, and A4 is a beat. 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all breaks, and I chose to use the funk patterns. Then I did a right click, created a pattern track, and I double clicked to create a region and drug it for a beat for 3 bars, then a break for 1 bar, a beat for 3 bars, and a break for 1 bar, because these breaks are supposed to fill in to lead you to the next beat. So it's always 3 bars of the beat, 1 bar of the break. You could extend this concept and maybe do 7 bars of the beat, 1 bar of break. 8 bar phrases are pretty common too, but we're keeping this shorter for 4 bar phrases. Now I've also added in a tone matrix. We're going to get to that in just a minute. I'm just going to go to my mixer here and mute my tone matrix for a moment. And so here are the drum beats that I've created, and I'll let you hear the beats and breaks as it goes. So I'm going to rewind my file. Okay, and so those are my drum beats. It took me a good while to program in all those beats, so don't get frustrated as you're plunking them in. I kind of adjusted my window and I had my PDF open on the side, but still, even with that, it took a good bit of time. Now after that, I went back to my devices and I drug in my tone matrix, which is right here. So I drug that into my file. I'm not going to do that right now. And I programmed in 4 patterns into tone matrix. So I programmed in, like an alto layer here. Then I entered that same material plus a bass in layer in pattern 2. In pattern 3, I programmed in all that material plus a soprano part. And in pattern 4, I programmed in something, just different and unique. So let me go ahead and zoom out, go back to my mixer, and let that play. And then I went ahead and I control-clicked to make a pattern track, double-click down here, and I decided to use pattern A for the first phrase, B for the second phrase, C for the third phrase, and D for my fourth phrase. So here's what my composition sounds like now, and you'll see both of these changing patterns as the file plays. You can see the tone matrix added that next part. And as you can see here, I zoomed out on my zoom bar right here. I found that white dot, and I'm just going to pull that towards the end of my file. I usually like to do it about 1 to 2 bars after the song ends for any decay. Oops, let me zoom that back out. If I wanted to make my song longer, of course, I could do that. My only suggestion is I wouldn't continue to make new patterns. Instead, I would just make use of the existing patterns. So if I wanted to make my song a little bit longer, I could say maybe go back to pattern C. Oops, let me pull that over. And then maybe I'll stick with the same drum beats and breaks that were used for that previously. That'll give a lot of continuity to your composition. And so I'm going to play it from my fourth pattern, and then you'll get back to a familiar pattern here. And I actually like that that ends on that crash. All right. And so that crash seems to last forever. I may actually, in this case, pull that back even further because that crash is really ringing out. And at this point, of course, as usual, I make sure my thing's saved, but I have my auto save on. I've published it, so I'm just going to go ahead and republish. When that's all finished, I go to my profile image. I believe this is my latest composition. Yep, and then I'll just copy this link for my post.